Imagine sitting in a cockpit at 35,000 feet, sun streaming through the windshield as a horizon of possibility stretches before you. For many aspiring pilots, this is the dream. The romantic image of a captain calmly guiding a passenger jet across the continent is often paired with assumptions about glamorous lifestyles and fat paychecks. But how do you actually get from teaching students in a Cessna 172 to commanding a wide-body airliner? How much money do pilots make at each step? And how will emerging technologies like electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft and increasingly autonomous cockpit systems affect pilot demand and salaries in the coming decades? In this episode, we're going to answer those questions. We'll break down the salary progression from a certified flight instructor to a regional first officer, regional captain, major airline FO, and finally a major airline captain. We'll talk about signing bonuses, per diems, union contracts, and retirement benefits. We'll also examine the pilot shortage, new entrants like eVTOL air taxis, and the future of autonomous flight to understand whether there will even be enough jobs left for future pilots. Stick with me for the next half an hour as we dive into real numbers, explore career strategies, and look behind the headlines to give you an honest picture of what it takes to become a professional pilot and what your financial future might look like. Oh, and by the way, if you're thinking about changing careers to become a pilot, I have an entire course linked down below that will guide you through every single step of the process. It comes with a 7-day, 100% money-back guarantee, no questions asked. So if you've ever dreamed about switching careers and becoming a pilot, start here. And if you're one of the lucky few to watch this video before August 1st, that is the deadline for when the price for this course is going to increase by $100. So take advantage of this limited time deal. Every airline pilot begins with the same objective: build flight time. After earning a commercial pilot certificate and instrument rating, most people still need hundreds of hours to meet airline requirements. That's where the job of certified flight instructor comes in. You get paid to teach others how to fly, and at the same time you log crucial hours towards the 1,500 airline transport pilot minimums. But the pay at this stage is modest. According to ATP Flight School, flight instructors who complete its airline career pilot program earn roughly $3,200 to $4,000 per month based on about 70 hours of flight instruction and 20 hours of simulator instruction. And that's on the higher end compared to most schools. ATP's numbers equate to about $38,400 to $48,000 per year, and it doesn't include taxes, student loan payments, or living expenses. Many instructors supplement their income by flying some scenic tours, or maybe even banner towing, or just working a second job. The hours can be erratic due to weather, and you're essentially working as both teacher and scheduler. But for many, CFI work is the fastest way to accumulate flight time. Beyond pay, this period teaches invaluable skills: communication, problem solving, and the patience needed to mentor students. It's also a time to network. Building relationships with instructors, check airmen, and other pilots often leads to recommendation letters. Although the salary is low, the experience sets the foundation for a career that can eventually pay six figures. The critical lesson here is to view the CFI phase as an investment in your future rather than a long-term job. Also, if at any point you're thinking about starting flight school, the number one mistake that I see student pilots make is choosing the wrong flight school. I've listed a course that I made down below that covers every single mistake that I see student pilots make and will guide you through every step of choosing a flight school. Landing that first airline job, regional first officer. Once you approach 1,500 hours, you can apply to regional airlines. Regional carriers operate smaller jets like the Embraer 175 or CRJ 700, and they feed passengers into the major airline hubs. Competition for these regional slots is tough at the moment, but because there is still a pilot shortage, competition is fierce. The pay jump from CFI to regional first officer is significant. ATP's 2025 pay guide lists first-year pay packages by airline. Commute Air, $90,302. Endeavor, $108,528. Envoy, $107,600. GoJet, $98,148. Horizon Air, $97,290. Mesa, $115,062. Piedmont, $107,000. PSA, $107,000. And Republic, $95,730. These totals include bonuses and assume around 75 hours of block time per month. On an hourly basis, many regionals are paying around $90 to $115 per flight hour. For example, PSA Airlines pay scale for 2025 shows first officers earning $99 per hour in their first year. With a 75-hour guarantee, that's roughly $7,400 a month, about double what a busy flight instructor makes. From an earnings perspective, this stage can finally feel like you're making it. A typical first officer at a regional might bring home $6,000 and $800,000 per month before taxes. Airlines also provide per diem payments, often between $1.50 and $2 per hour, health benefits, jump seat privileges, and discounted travel. However, you're still on reserve at this point, or on call, and you have little control over your schedule. You may commute to a base you don't live in, spend nights in hotels, and often upgrade quickly due to high attrition. While some airlines offer flow-through agreements to major partners, others require you to apply laterally. Thus, the choice of regional employer influences both earnings and career trajectory, balancing loans and life. By the time you get hired at a regional, you likely have substantial debt. Flight training often costs between $80,000 and $150,000, and many new pilots still owe tens of thousands of dollars. On a $60,000 salary, the monthly loan payment can be a significant burden. It's critical to budget, build an emergency fund, and avoid new debt like expensive cars. Some regionals offer tuition reimbursement or sign-on bonuses that can be used to pay down loans. Taking advantages of bonuses offered by airlines and profit sharing can accelerate debt repayments. Regional captain and major airline first officer. Thanks to the pilot shortage, upgrade times at regional airlines have shortened dramatically. In the early 2010s, pilots waited 7 or more years to upgrade. Today, many carriers upgrade within 2 to 3 years. When you upgrade, you go from monitoring to commanding the aircraft, taking on more responsibilities and higher pay. According to Thrust Flight, regional captains earn about $11,000 to $15,000 per month. This range aligns with hourly rates around $150 to $200 per hour. PSA Airlines 2025 pay scale lists captains earning $157 per hour in their first year. That equates to about $11,800 per month in year one. Then you add per diems, profit sharing, and retention bonuses, and your yearly income may exceed $200,000. Upgrading early has pros and cons. Higher pay and command experience are obvious benefits. However, as a captain, you're legally responsible for the aircraft, crew, and passengers. Your workload includes supervising the FO, dealing with maintenance and operational decisions, and often flying more legs. Many pilots relish the challenge. Others prefer to stay in the right seat until they gain more experience. Upgrading also resets your seniority to some extent within the airline. This is going to affect your schedule bidding and vacation. Make sure you're ready before taking that step. The next big leap is moving to a major airline. Major carriers like Delta, American, United, Southwest, Alaska, JetBlue, and cargo operators like FedEx and UPS operate larger aircraft and offer more lucrative compensation packages. But getting hired isn't automatic. You may need to build hours as a regional captain, network with recruiters, attend job fairs, and possibly even earn a bachelor's degree. When you do get hired, the pay as a first officer at a major can be eye-opening. ATP's 2025 Major Airline Salary Guide lists Year 1 first officer pay, based on 72 to 87 hours per month, as follows. American Airlines FO, $113,000. Delta FO, $113,000. United FO, $15,000. Alaska FO, $114,000. Southwest FO, $125,000. Frontier FO, $97,000. Spirit FO, $110,000. Avelo FO, $117,000. Sun Country FO, $105,000. Breeze FO, $101,000. FedEx FO, $82,000. And UPS FO, $63,000. Note that cargo operators, FedEx and UPS have lower initial FO pay but significantly higher captain pay due to their unique business models and union contracts. Putting those numbers into perspective, at Delta you might earn around $9,500 per month as a new FO. Combined with per diem and profit sharing, your take-home could approach $120,000 in the first year. Meanwhile, Frontier's low FO pay reflects its status as an ultra-low-cost carrier, though its compensation still surpasses most regional pay packages. It's important to understand that seniority and equipment type, narrow body versus wide body, cause significant variation. A first officer on a Boeing 737 might earn less than one on an Airbus A350. Besides higher pay, majors offer better quality of life. Schedules are more flexible with longer trips and more days off. Benefits such as company-paid hotels during training, profit-sharing plans, and robust retirement contributions are common. Many airlines provide generous travel privileges for family and friends, yet there are trade-offs. You start at the bottom of a larger seniority list, which can mean being on reserve for years. Commuting may be necessary if you're assigned to a base far from home, and the competition to get hired is intense, requiring strong references, turbine time, and often a college degree, although most airlines don't say a college degree is technically required. At both the regional and major level, pilot pay is governed by collective bargaining agreements. These contracts specify hourly rates by years of service, minimum monthly guarantees, per diem rates, overtime and holiday pay, training pay, bonuses, and retirement contributions. Understanding your contract is crucial because it dictates not just your paycheck, but also scheduling rules like maximum duty times, rest requirements, and vacation bidding. For instance, PSA Airlines contract ensures captains and first officers receive scheduled raises each year. At major airlines, union negotiations have recently produced record-breaking deals. Delta pilots ratified a contract in 2023 that included a 34% pay increase over 4 years and improved profit sharing. American and United have followed suit. These pay improvements reflect the significant bargaining power pilots currently hold due to the shortage. However, they also depend on airline profitability and can vary with the economy. Always stay informed about your union's negotiations and vote on contracts that shape your career. After paying your dues as a first officer, you'll eventually upgrade to a captain at a major airline. The timeline can vary from 5 to 15 years depending on retirements and expansion. Once you're in the left seat, the financial rewards can be substantial. ATP's 2025 Career Guide lists Year 6 and Year 12 captain pay. American Airlines Captain Year 6, $323,000, and Year 12 is $338,000. Delta Captain Year 6 is $321,000, and it's pretty similar for Year 12. United Captains, $327,922 Year 6. Alaska Captain, $310,984. Southwest Captain, $315,000. Frontier Captain, $332,000. Spirit Captain, $313,000. Avelo Captain, $240,000. Sun Country is $220,000. Breeze Captain is $230,000. These figures assume roughly 75 to 80 flight hours per month and include profit sharing and bonuses. Cargo carriers can pay even more depending on what type of plane you're flying. UPS captains earn $358,000 and FedEx captains range a lot. Since cargo flights operate at night, involve heavy lifting, the premium pay compensates for the schedule. Some wide-body captains at a major airline can earn hourly rates above $300 per hour. For example, a U.S. flight company article notes that Delta captains on the Airbus A350 earn about $361 per hour. United captains on the 787 earn $338 per hour, and American captains on the Boeing 777 earn $330 per hour. When multiplied by 80 hours a month, those rates approach $29,000 monthly, or over $350,000 annually. Experienced captains may make $30,000 to $40,000 per month. How do these salaries compare to other professions? The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics report the median annual wage for airline pilots, co-pilots, and flight engineers was $226,000 in May of 2024. That means half of pilots earn more than that figure, which highlights how lucrative the top end of this career can be. Pilots in the top 10% can earn above $350,000. But remember, those numbers come after decades of training, commuting, time away from family, and the unpredictable nature of the aviation industry. Major airline compensation goes beyond base pay. Most carriers offer robust benefits packages including health insurance, life insurance, long-term disability, flight privileges for family, and profit sharing. Retirement planning is particularly important because pilots are required to retire by age 65 under FAA regulations. Airlines contribute a percentage of your salary to retirement plans, often as a 401k match or profit-sharing deposit. For example, Delta's new union-negotiated market-based cash balance plan allows pilots to invest part of their 17% company contribution into a pension-style account that grows tax-deferred. Delta pilots can contribute up to $22,500 to their 401k, and the company contributes 17% of pay. If a pilot earns over the IRS annual cap of $66,000 and under age 50, $73,500 over 50, the excess 17% goes into the cash balance plan. The money is managed similarly to a pension with a mix of stocks and bonds, proving long-term security. Southwest Airlines also announced a market-based cash balance plan in 2024 that will allow pilots to fully benefit from the airline's 17% retirement contribution, with contributions beyond 401k caps directed into the plan and growing tax deferred. The plan will increase the company contribution from 1% to 2% in 2026 and ensure that contributions above the salary cap go to the new plan. Non-monetary perks are also significant. Travel privileges allow you and your family to fly standby around the world for little or no cost. Hotel and meal per diems on layovers reduce expenses. As you gain seniority, you can bid better schedules, international trips with longer layovers in desirable cities, or line checks that keep you home more often. For many pilots, the ability to explore new countries and cultures is a major part of the appeal. Finally, there is the pride and satisfaction of mastering a complex machine and safely transporting passengers or cargo, an intangible reward that motivates many to pursue aviation despite the challenges. With great pay comes great responsibilities and stress. As a major airline captain, you're the final authority on board, responsible for the safety of potentially hundreds of passengers. You manage crew dynamics, weather decisions, mechanical issues, and occasionally unruly passengers. Irregular schedules, time zone changes, and fatigue can impact health and family life. Seniority also plays a major role. A captain in the bottom third of a seniority list might struggle to hold desirable routes or vacations, while a pilot at a smaller carrier could be at the top of their list. Economic cycles affect job security. During downturns, airlines furlough pilots. Seniority determines who stays and who goes. After 9/11 and during the COVID-19 pandemic, thousands of pilots were laid off. New hires and junior captains must prepare for potential furloughs by saving aggressively, diversifying investments, and maintaining qualifications to return quickly. Today's strong demand means opportunities abound, but there's no guarantee that the boom will last forever. The airline you pick as a regional pilot influences your future. With flow-through agreements to major airlines like Envoy to American or Endeavor to Delta, provide clear paths. Attending job fairs, join professional organizations, and connect with recruiters on social media. A recommendation from a respected captain or check airman can be the difference in getting an interview. Stay current and build diverse experience. Airlines value pilots who have flown multiple types of aircraft, operated in varying conditions, and have no training check failures. Pursuing additional ratings like tailwheel or seaplane or multi-engine instructor can improve your skills. Volunteer for ferry flights and high-altitude training opportunities. Also, consider obtaining a bachelor's degree if you don't already have one. Maintain health and certify regularly. A pilot's license requires your medical certificate. Stay physically fit, eat well, and get enough sleep to avoid health issues that could ground you. Protect your mental health. Long trips and irregular schedules can strain relationships. If you lose your medical, your earnings potentially disappear until you regain it. Plan for the long game. Remember that seniority is everything. Choose airlines where you plan to stay long term. Frequent moves reset your seniority and may delay upgrades. When new carriers like a startup VTOL operator come calling, weigh the risk and reward carefully. Jumping to an innovate company might pay off big, but it might also leave you jobless if funding dries up. The pilot job market has been dominated by one theme over the past decade: shortage. Airlines have been hiring aggressively because thousands of senior pilots are reaching mandatory retirement age. According to a Flight Academy analysis, about 80,000 airline pilots will retire in the next 20 years, and Boeing projects 127,000 new pilots will be needed in North America by 2042. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics projects 5% employment growth for airlines and commercial pilots between 2023 and 2033, with about 18,500 jobs opening each year. The shortage is expected to peak around 2026 with a shortfall of roughly 24,000 pilots. Demand is also being driven by growing air travel. After the pandemic slump, passenger numbers are surging. Airlines are expanding routes and ordering new aircraft. Low-cost carriers and regional airlines continue to add services to smaller cities. Meanwhile, the explosion of cargo e-commerce supports strong hiring at freight carriers. Let's talk about the new air taxis. Are they opportunities or a threat? One of the most talked about developments in aviation is the rise of electronic vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. Companies like Joby Aviation and Archer plan to launch air taxi services in the mid-2020s. Bain & Company predict 12,000 eVTOL aircraft operation in 2035 and 45,000 by 2040. KPMG estimates that the industry could need 19,000 pilots globally by 2030, with some forecasts reaching 60,000 by 2028. Initially, most VTOL aircraft will be piloted by humans. Regulations require commercial pilots with instrument ratings, and early operations will draw from existing pool of helicopter and fixed-wing pilots. That means job opportunities for pilots who are willing to transition to these new vehicles. However, the VTOL business model accounts on transitioning to autonomous or semi-autonomous flight to achieve profitability. The FAA and manufacturers envision a stepwise approach, starting with 2 pilots, then moving to single-pilot operations supported by advanced avionics, and eventually remote or autonomous operations. That naturally raises concerns about job loss. The path toward autonomy and single-pilot operations. Autonomous flight is not science fiction. It's already done here in some forms. Drone cargo aircraft operate beyond visual line of sight rules, and autopilots fly much of today's passenger flights. Honeywell, which is a major avionics manufacturer, believes that within 10 years there will be single-pilot commercial and large business aircraft supported by automation. Fully autonomous large cargo flights could be possible somewhere more in the 2030s. They emphasize simplified vehicle operations where the pilot's role shifts from actively flying to supervising systems, and eventually to remote monitoring of multiple aircraft. Airbus has demonstrated technologies like Dragonfly that can autonomously divert, land, and taxi an aircraft. Yet the timeline for single pilot operations remains very, very uncertain. Regulatory authorities like EASA have indicated they will not approve such operations anywhere before 2027, and industry insiders argue that widespread single-pilot passenger flights are decades away. Pilot unions vigorously oppose reduced crew operations, citing safety concerns. They argue that two pilots provides redundancy and manage the complex workload of modern flights, particularly during emergencies. In the short to medium term, autonomy will change the nature of pilots' work rather than eliminate it. Pilots may become system managers and supervisors, requiring new skill sets such as monitoring multiple aircraft, interpreting automated decision-making, and intervening when necessary. As a result, training programs will evolve to include human-machine teaming. New roles may emerge, such as remote pilot operator or fleet manager. How autonomy affects hiring and salaries. While automation may eventually reduce the total number of pilots needed per aircraft, overall demand could remain strong because the global fleet is expanding. In addition, new aircraft categories, VTOLs, cargo drones, will require operators, dispatchers, and flight instructors. The Flight Academy report notes that early VTOL operations will hire pilots with commercial licenses. That means that for at least the next decade, there will likely be more opportunities rather than fewer. Automation may also create new career ladders. Pilots learn to operate advanced autonomous systems could command higher salaries due to specialized training. Conversely, regional airline or general aviation pilots who don't adapt may find themselves competing with technology. The key takeaway is that continuous learning and adaptability will be critical for long-term success. Retirement and financial freedom. As you progress through your career and reach six-figure earnings, the focus shifts from making ends meet to achieving the financial independence. The combination of high incomes and forced retirements at 65 means pilots need to plan aggressively. Maximize employer retirement contributions. At Delta and Southwest, that means taking advantage of the 17% company contribution into 401k and cash balance plans. Consider additional IRAs and taxable brokerage accounts once you max out tax advantage options. Housing is another big decision. Many pilots live near their base to avoid commuting. Others choose to commute so their family can live in a more affordable or desirable location. Factor in property value, state taxes, and quality of life when making these choices. Finally, think about life after aviation. Some pilots transition to corporate aviation, flight instruction, safety management, or aviation consulting after retiring from the airlines. Others use their skills in entirely new fields, from real estate to entrepreneurship. The discipline, decision-making, and communication skills you learn as a pilot are transferable. Pursue hobbies and education throughout your career so you're prepared for the next chapter. The journey from a newly minted pilot to an airline captain is long, demanding, and expensive, but it can be deeply rewarding both professionally and financially. You'll start as a CFI, earning modest pay while building hours. Then, as a regional first officer, you'll get your first taste of airline life with salaries around $90,000 to $110,000 a year, plus bonuses and benefits. A few years later, you'll upgrade to regional captain, potentially doubling your income. With persistence and networking, you'll move to a major airline where first officers make well into six figures. Eventually, as a captain on a large jet, you can earn $300,000 to $400,000 per year, enjoy generous retirement contributions, and travel the world. At the same time, the aviation landscape is changing rapidly. A massive wave of retirements will keep demand high for at least the next decade. New aircraft categories like eVTOLs will create additional jobs. Autonomy will transform pilot duties, but it will not eliminate pilots in the foreseeable future. Regulatory hurdles and union opposition mean that two-pilot cockpits will remain the norm for many, many years. As automation advances, pilots will need to adapt to new roles and technologies. Those who embrace change, continue learning, and diversify their skills will thrive. So, is it worth pursuing a career as a pilot? Well, if you love flying, enjoy problem solving, and are willing to make sacrifices early on, the answer is yes. The potential for high earnings, travel, and personal fulfillment is unparalleled. But this career is not a quick path to wealth. It requires dedication, resilience, smart financial planning. Whether you're just starting flight training or already in the right seat, keep your eyes on the horizon, stay adaptable, and remember that the journey is just as important as the destination. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this deep dive helpful, please consider consider liking, subscribing, and sharing with anyone who dreams of flying. Leave a comment below with your questions or experiences. I love reading and responding to comments from you guys. Until next time, clear skies and tailwinds, and I'll see you next week.